What's up, you rascals? Tobin here with you, back from being boots on the ground at Miami-Dade Arena to watch your Miami Heat get a win over the Atlanta Hawks. It was a fun Boots day, man. I'm not going to lie. Not just because of the win. There was a lot of action around. It was a fun game. You know, I mean, this Heat season has been so many games that have been in the mud and have, been grind outs under 100 points. And, what a little shootout at the old Heat Corral, 130 to 128. I don't know what the spread was, but that last three by Murray must have been a killer, I feel, to some bettors. Miami was able to pull this one out, and they really had it was a fun performance all around. And it didn't start that way because the damn Hawks, you had to know this. These 2-game sets are very weird, especially like in these playoff times when you're playing teams that are in the standings. They're like, I know the teams have said like, oh, we've kind of been in the playoffs, but these actually do feel like little playoff series. It's a bit odd because as we saw with the Sixers, it's like, oh, you play Joel Embiid and you have all this hype and you're on the road. You let your guard down a little bit. Joel doesn't play. You don't go with that same intensity. Miami really couldn't afford that here, especially off the weekend where they had that crushing loss to New York. So, you knew that they had to dig down and get this one, but they came out of the gates and just Atlanta couldn't miss. And there really wasn't a lot of resistance from the Heat. Started off down 16-11, and Spo was freaking out, dude. Like he was like, nope, calling timeout and demanding everybody get in the huddle. He was just very visibly upset about the whole thing. Discussed it a little bit after the game.
Coach, the timeout 4 minutes into the game, what was your messaging? And then also kind of what goes into your decision of when to eat your frustration and when to kind of vent it and communicate it?
Did you see the first 4 minutes?
Yeah, I did.
That was one of the easier decisions to call a timeout.
What was your messaging?
I don't really remember. Trying to figure out what everybody's dinner plans were after the game. But at that point, it's we all felt the same way. We have a bunch of gnarly dudes, and that was not the first half was not our best performance. And again, this is a dangerous team. They put 70 points in the paint against the number one point protecting team in the league. That says a lot about what they're capable of. And both things can be true. We didn't really set the tone either the way we're capable of.
It was delightful. It was a bit of a little tricky situation with the lineup today as Kevin Love was out. He had a rib injury. He did go through an extended pregame workout. So I would say, I don't think this is going to be too long-term for him. Omer Yurtseven was active. He did not play. Max Strus got the start, and they kind of just went the way of, Cody Zeller being the backup big. So Big Yurt, still no minutes for him, even though I did just create this amazing ballad that you all loved. And I appreciate all the well wishes on that, especially to Big Yurt himself. You're welcome, Big Yurt. You're welcome, dude. You will have your time. It was a fun night too, dude, because it was like I always get made fun of by Leroy for celeb watching, but I love when the fighters are there. I love when Floyd Mayweather's at the games. Floyd Mayweather is by far my favorite celebrity to watch because I'm just fascinated by everything that goes around his ecosystem, from the giant security team to who he hangs around to how he watches the game. He trash talks players sometimes. But, always gives a lot of love to the Heat guys. Gave love to Bam and Tyler and Jimmy before the game and Victor Oladipo. And then Masvidal rolled up in Masvidal didn't roll up to like the third goal. At least I didn't see him. My buddy actually told me that he was there. I was like, who? What? And I hadn't seen him, but he actually ended up sitting courtside with Anwell and got the little introduction. They said, UFC 287 coming to Miami-Dade Arena, which I cannot wait for. I can't tell you how excited I am about this, but let's get back into the game. So yeah, man, Atlanta was on fire. They started off 43 first quarter points, had a 13-point lead, but Miami was able to cut it down by halftime. And a big part of that was the bench. This was one of the best bench games they've had in a long time. Really, the big catalyst for that was Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin was killing it. He was really finding his spots. Him and Jimmy Butler, a lot of chemistry on some cuts, and you loved what they were bringing to the table there. Duncan Robinson also, just one of his best performances in a while. Gave some nice pop when they needed it. Got you a couple from downtown. He got fouled shooting a 3-point shot. He fouled somebody shooting a 3-point shot. So he was able to even the score there, which I love from old dunks. And just him and Bam in general. Like it's like peanut butter and jelly, dude. Like if the chemistry is so on point with those guys, it doesn't matter. They could probably, do one of those escape rooms or could do some blindfold test, and they know each other so well. If you put Bam Adebayo and Duncan Robinson on like some newlywed game show, they'd kill everybody. That's how good their chemistry is. So, the third quarter, a little bit of a back and forth, it was the slowest of the offensive juggernaut performances that were going, for both sides. It was a fun game. A lot of scoring, some impressive shot making, some really dumb shots that went in. And then, there's a lot of, you had to credit Atlanta. They were super effective at scoring in the paint, and Miami is typically really, really good at that. And they were able to get some easy buckets and some really efficient stops. But the fourth quarter, the takeover was for Victor Oladipo, and that was, I think, for me, one of the most important things out of this game. Not only just the win, but the way that Vic looked. Vic has been playing a little bit down. He's been having some turnovers. Just didn't seem like he had that offensive confidence as of late. And Victor Oladipo was doing it all, dude. First of all, had his stroke from downtown. I think he had 4 from downtown tonight. Broke down DeJounte Murray. Just crossed his ass up and got to the rim, got fouled. And then the play of the game was the alley-oop. Bam gets the turnover, hits Duncan Robinson, who hits Victor Oladipo for the big slam. And it was, the roof was on fire from that one. It was a delight. Here was Vic afterwards on getting that alley-oop.
Honestly, I've been trying to catch a live all year, to be honest with you. But no, all seriousness, it worked out great. Got out on a break. Big shout out to Duncan, man. That was a great pass by him, and went up and finished it. So felt good.
Bam was loving it afterwards on the locker room.
And we've got to see Vic bounce back from a lot of stuff. Every kind of ups and downs, but when you see him kind of dial it up like he did tonight.
Yeah, man, he dunked today. That was crazy. Man, dunked off a lob today. You seen that? Man, listen. It's just beautiful to watch when, you see somebody go through their ups and downs, and then you see them have games like that. Because, having a game like that can spark him, and he can have 4 of those in a row. So, I'm happy for him. I'm glad he got his rhythm now, and we just need to keep building off of this.
And Eric Spoelstra touched on just, the physical burst that it looked like Victor Oladipo had and just giving him time to get to who he is. It's not always, you can't always feel like it's going to be there all the time right away.
It's very gratifying for everybody that's been behind the scenes seeing his journey. And I remind him all the time that he has to have a little bit of grace, with himself. And I think everybody probably has to have a little bit of grace with everything that he's gone through. You can't just say, oh, you can be right back to who you used to be. He's been out more percentage of games in the last 4 years than he's actually played. And that is something. And we wanted to commit to him on this journey, knowing that it wouldn't just be a linear improvement. There would be some ups and downs and everything in between. But he stayed the course. He showed that persistence and that fortitude. and he's had an impact. You know, physically, he's getting better and stronger. And he was just really good tonight. Now, defensively, basically this year, he's been that, and you know, he's finding a way to get into his rhythm, help the second unit, help other guys, you know, get to their strengths. And that's just not an easy thing to do. But he really impacted the win today, and we needed that burst, you know, from him tonight. That was really important, and it's great to see, you know, because I've probably seen it as much as anybody behind the scenes, just all the sweat, the grind, when nobody's watching. And so often that's what this league is about, you know, when you do all your preparation, all the countless hours, and nobody has any idea. But Vic, you know, you're happy for a guy when he's able to produce like that for his team and impact winning, you know, particularly everything that he's gone through.
So he was fantastic. And then you really had a battle of the stars on the way down. You know, Victor Oladipo did his thing to start it. Jimmy Butler, he really did things to end it. I mean, Jimmy was getting to his spots, got some big buckets. And then Trae Young finally got it going after what has been a really, really tortured relationship with facing the Miami Heat for Trae Young. He actually started getting it going for his team and really was keeping them alive when it looked very much like things were sunk for them. Trae started, you know, getting to the rim, getting some baskets, getting some more confidence in his shots, because it's been a tough go ever since, you know, his old, the famous fortune teller game between him and Jimmy Butler. Although I do remember Trae Young really lighting up the Heat one time the year after the bubble, where I think it was actually the game, maybe it was the first game Nate McMillan was the coach, or it was the game before they fired Lloyd Pierce, and he had nothing going, and then he just started hitting all these shots. Trae Young and the Heat, it's a fascinating, I don't want to call it a rivalry because it's very one-sided, but it's a very fascinating relationship between the Heat and Trae Young and everything that goes there. But all in all, a fun game, lots of scoring. The Heat, the three-pointers, starting to come around? Maybe? Oh, maybe? It'll come around. I don't know. But the star of this game for me was, I thought Caleb Martin was awesome. The bench was great, but Caleb really was. Spo was calling him their version of Sean Marion after the game, The Matrix, which was really cool. And I thought just Caleb, after just a solid dude, man. I asked him about what that switch has been for him, like mentally, going from being a starter and having a good year. It's not like Caleb Martin was just being a bum. Caleb Martin was out here kicking ass, but they asked him to go back to this role. And just, I don't know what it is. It just, he looks comfortable in this, being able to almost, you know, what do they call him last year? Red Bull? Like, he just injects all of that stuff into this team when they need it. It's fantastic. Defense, offense, athleticism, shooting.
A great year as it was, but when you go to this roll off the bench, like mentally, like what had to flip when they told you this role was going to come?
I just kind of snapped back into last year. You know what I mean? That's just what I've done pretty much my whole entire career, so it was pretty natural for me to go back to that position. And, you know, I'm just trying to do whatever I got to do to impact the winning and impact the team in a positive way. So whether it's me coming off the bench and somebody else fits better in that start lineup, and some of it's just personnel, some of it's matchups with different teams, like, I don't really take any of that stuff too personal. I know what I'm capable of, and I feel like they know what I'm capable of, and I just want to come in and do my job.
Is there a tone of the game you can read from coming off the bench of like what your team needs? Because obviously you guys need to kind of change things up the way you started.
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely mentally you get to adjust to the game a little better just from seeing what's going on, seeing what, you know, gaps needed to be filled, and whether it needs to be a little bit more offensively, whether it needs to be, you know, defensively. But, you know, ultimately I'm going to bring energy no matter what, and I think just bringing energy is going to radiate positivity throughout the group and, you know, give a good spark. So that's all I try to do regardless.
He can do it all, and really, really was tremendous in a lot of ways, and Miami needed this one. Got a couple of big ones against the Cavs coming on up.